Hiya folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, you can probably see I'm back on the tidal river again today, and the reason for that is that I came a week or two ago, as you may have seen if you're a regular viewer. Had a few fish. I had probably 4 fish about £9 a piece, and another 3 or so in the smaller range, £3–4. Well, I lost a few, and I was also experimenting, so I've come back today to try and rectify all the things I got wrong the last time. And also I'm going to try and use this new experimental Bosher feeder, also known as a bait up feeder, also known as a feeding feeder. And really it's the same as the sort of things you see from the manufacturers. Usual body, except that this is made of plastic because I 3D printed it. I've got a dome on the top because it's easier to print, and obviously it's an open end at the bottom. And like all my normal feeders, it's got the interchangeable weights on the side, so I've got 30 grams in here at the moment. Now this is going to be the wrong way around to show you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a whole pile of corn and a fair handful of pellets like that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop off the bottom with a bit of ground bait just to keep it all in there. And the idea today, of course, is to feed far more particles, got myself tangled around the line, far more particles than ground bait. Now, whether that'll be more effective or not remains to be seen, but that's one of the things we're going to be testing today. And I'm just going to cast the same 18-metre line. I'm clipped up just for the moment, but I will be unclipping shortly, because that was one of the other things I did wrong. Sorry, I got something in the eye. I used the line clip because I tried a new thing with braid for the line marker and it didn't work, so we're going to go back to using that yellow elastic again today, and we're going to stay unclipped. Going to get probably 5 or 6 of these in to start off with. We're coming down towards low tide now, so it's going to be going that way shortly, but as usual it'll probably take about 40 minutes or so to get a bite, although I have been known to be wrong, as I've said before. And we'll see how we go with this new feeder. I've got a number of different versions of it I'm going to try out today, just little tweaks. Like in this one you've got the loop where the line comes around from the middle. I've got another one where it comes off the back, and so on and so forth, just to get the balance right. Anyway, we'll get a few more of these in and let's see if we can catch a few fish. Okay, got another feeder full here. I've just put 5 or 6 in, so we're just about ready to go. What I have done this time, same as last time, is I've got a long hair with 5 pieces of corn on it, because big baits equals big fish, maybe. But what I've also done is I've used a size 10 hook. Last time I used a 14, and when I was putting extreme pressure on to get away from the snags just down to that side of me, I think I was pulling through. So again, a size 10 hook with that size of bait seems reasonable to me. Let's get out there at 18 turns. I'm using the yellow elastic as the stop, so I'm not clipped up. I'm just going to listen for that. And there we go. And that should now be, yeah, right on the edge of the rod, the tip of the rod rather. I'll let that go down and allow the bow to form. Now I can just see that little piece of elastic just off the end of my tip ring, which is exactly where I need it to be. Okay, not expecting any bites initially, but we'll wait and see. Tide should be turning any time now. It's just gone 11 o'clock and the tide was supposed to turn about then. Looking across, you can see all the mud flats on the far bank, so we shouldn't be far off that. I'm just hoping this plastic cage feeder will hold without having to put too much weight on it, because of course there's more resistance to the plastic than there would be to a wire, but it was just easier to make it out of plastic rather than out of wire. So just while we're waiting for bites to start, why would I want to make my own Bosher feeders or bait up feeders? Well, the reason being that all the ones I've seen are designed for still waters, so you cast them out, still water's fine, it stays in place. But as you know, I fish tidal rivers, so I need something which stays on the bottom. Even those with weights on that are manufactured seem to have the weights around the bottom, so it will still roll. So by having the weight flat on there, the principle is that it'll stay where I've put it, and so far it's pretty slack running at the moment. It's staying in position with 30 grams on it. On reflection already, I'm going to make a couple of modifications. I'm probably going to widen this base out a little bit, and instead of that being quite so round, make it a little bit flatter as well. And I'm also going to reduce the size of the solid pieces in between the holes there. All about water resistance. So that's the plan. We'll see whether it works or not by the end of today. GoPro, start recording. Well, not too bad. Been about half an hour. Don't think it's a big one. And I was actually just trimming the tip, just moving the reel around a little bit to get the tip just set right, and all of a sudden it started to bob and bounce. Still, first fish. It is a small one though, for here anyway. It's a very small one for here actually. I reckon about £3. Well, no, I reckon about £2 looking at that. Oh, not the case. There we go. Well, at least we've got a fish. It's a start. Just nicely lip hooked. Actually, it probably is about £3 because I can't quite get my hand around it. So we're off. Ugh, no, I'm wet. Well, it's looking like one to me. Yay. Could be quite decent. I thought he was quite small at first, but sometimes the bigger ones just come in to start off with and then decide to take off. I don't think he's all that big, but at the same time he's bigger than a 3-pounder. Got to be careful of all those sticks down there that are sticking out there. Roots from the tree that are sticking out into the water. Excuse me, the bank's been eroded and they're really sticking out quite a lot these days. Luckily this one's stayed out in the water, so we shouldn't have a problem with them this week. I think I'm going to sneeze. Oh yeah. Literally, we've been on slack tide for a short while, and it's only just starting to move out there now. And down below me, it's still fairly static, but it has risen probably 2 or 3 inches. So I always find that on slack tide or low tide, it's pretty slow for fishing. So hopefully, once this tide starts to come in a bit, we'll be getting more bites than this. Yeah. Oh, I think he's quite a good fish actually. Oh, it's a long way up. Oh. Well, I'd say 7-ish, something like that. Right, just lose that down there a bit. Hope I didn't catch anything on the bottom. Not going to weigh him, but that's a nice fish, isn't it? I reckon 7-ish. And that's 2. You might have noticed that I've changed from the dome top feeder to the flat top feeder. And the simple reason for that is that the dome top feeder has the loop where the hook attaches at the center point of the feeder, the body. That means that the center of gravity is higher, and so therefore it can turn over. So these are probably going to be good for still waters, but this one which has got the flat top, and again they're all experiments, has the line here coming off at the bottom, so it's a lower centre of gravity, so it's less likely to roll in the water. That's the plan anyway for when the tide really does start to move, but we'll see. There's a great big black cloud over me. They said we might get some rain today, but don't know. It's really black over there. We may have a rain stop play fairly shortly for a while. Apparently it's not going to last very long if it does come. I'm feeling bumps and I don't know if it's a carp or not. It's very strange. I'm just tightening up to it because it was coming towards me a bit. Seeing a few spots of rain as well. The clouds made it so dark I've had to take my sunglasses off. Couldn't see the tip properly. You can maybe see we're starting to get rain across there now. I've got trees all above me, so at the moment I'm still going to be okay, but of course as it soaks through I'll get dripped on later. They did say it wasn't going to be much, and I'm hoping it won't be. Fishing's been pretty rubbish so far too. Mind you, I suspect that's because of the slack tide. We're starting to get a bit of movement going back that way now. Oh, hang on, there's something. Did you see that? Just do that. Oh, it's got to be a bite. He's off the other way. This is weird. This is not a carp. This could be something like an eel or a bream or something. Although it's settled down now, so it could be a carp. I don't know. But that was a weird bit of a fight to start off with there, wasn't it? It is a carp. Yeah, as I always say, what do I know? Tide's just starting to run a little bit now. We've probably got an extra foot of water on compared to what we had. So maybe that's what maybe that's what's bringing on some bites. It's actually about 4 pounds. Same with the particles experiment for now. So plenty of corn and pellets in there, almost full look. And then just topping off as I did before with some groundbait, just so it stays in until it hits the bottom. Mix the groundbait a little bit wet, just to make sure it stays as a plug. It's not really there for attracting today, it's really there as just a seal. So, and that's it, off we go again. Be interesting to see, now that the current's starting to rise, how well or how badly these feeders stay on the bottom. I'm not actually using the bow in the line method to ease the pressure at the moment, just to see. I'll maybe get to that shortly, but at the moment the current's not strong enough to worry about it. If the feeder starts to move, then I'll allow the bow to form. I explained it the last time, but as we get to it, I'll explain it again so you can see what I'm talking about a bit later on. That's got to be one of them. Did you see that one pull? There's me, got my hand on the rod, feeling for little nibbles. It's come straight down under me, literally under the rod tip. So now what? Slacken the clutch a bit, just on the safe side. No, I don't. No, it's a tiny little carp. This is probably the smallest fish I've ever had out of this section of river, with one of the best bites I've ever had. Wow. Still, they're all very welcome, aren't they? Where am I? Okay. He's probably about £2, look. Oops. Get the hook out anyway. There we go. Literally 2-ish pounds. Well, the rod tip's got quite a reasonable bend in it now because the current's starting to move quite well that way. And the feeder with 40 grams on is holding pretty well. Obviously the tide's going to get stronger and stronger over the next 2 or 3 hours, but we'll hopefully still be able to hold bottom, because it's much easier to make these plastic feeders than the wire cage feeders with a wire mesh top. Yeah, that's something. I think it's a carp. Just, I don't know if it is a carp. Could it be an eel? As you probably know, I don't like eels much. This isn't fighting like a carp. Let's have a look. See if we can get him up a bit in the water and see what's what. Oh, it is a carp. Small one again. Well then, obviously, goes to show you know nout. Absolutely nothing. But the carp today are a lot smaller than they normally are. As you saw the last video when I was here, they were in the £9 range. These, whoops, when you catch them, aren't. Ho hum. Well, the current's getting pretty strong now out there, and the feeder was holding okay with the 40 grams, but it was moving a little bit, so I put 50 grams on, and that's holding a lot better. But definitely, obviously, the plastic presents more surface area to the water than the wire cage one does. So, looks like I'm probably going to have to make up some wire cage bait up feeders for this sort of purpose. But I'm fairly pleased at the moment. I've ironed out a few issues which I weren't sure of, so we'll see. Oof. Well, that was a good old bump, wasn't it? That's got to be a bite. Yeah. Got to stay out of the way of the rod rest all the time, haven't you? Well, he's going well. Definitely bigger than the last ones. Those 2 or 3 pounders are great, but it's nice to catch something a bit more substantial from time to time. This one's definitely more substantial. He's off up that way. It was a good old bite though, wasn't it? When I first got that big bounce, I thought it was actually some sort of mega liner, but he'd obviously hooked himself. He's actually up on the surface near enough now down there. I just saw a swirl from him. You see it? Down that way? Just down there, look. Just holding in the current now. I think he's just lying his body off to one side, and it's just a fair bit of weight on this. He's coming. Oh, well. Got plenty of power. Right, it's coming. Come on, fish. Using the current against me. Come on. Considering it's winter, this fish has got an amazing amount of power. Right, he's coming up, and he's not actually all that big. Big enough like, but not as though he's a 20-pounder or anything, is he? Wow. Let's just hope he stays calm at this point. Gotcha. Oh, he's not bad. He's not bad at all. He's actually a short, thick fish, and I'm up the tree again. Just hooked in the bottom lip, and I reckon probably in the region of 7 pounds or so, maybe. But that was a good fight, wasn't it? That's 6 now, and current's really motoring along quite well. So quite pleased with these. I just have to use a bit more weight with them, as I say, than the wire cage ones. So I think I've proven the theory of using this as a particle feeder. That should be on the bottom about now. And this is where I'm fishing the bow as well. Just give it some line. And that lets it hold quite nicely. Nope. Alright, that's a bite. Yeah, that's a bite. Amazing the difference a bit of current makes, isn't it? Well, if I get this one in, it'll be, I think, 7, which is what I caught last time, but I lost 3 last time. Mind you, I've still got another hour and a half or so to go yet, if I really want to. I have to admit that these feeders are working pretty fine. Few adjustments to make. Where are you, fish? Somewhere down there. Ooh, see him shoot off then. Oh, caught around his dorsal again. I think there's a boat coming. Yeah, it's only a smallish fish, look. Probably 4 pounds, I think. I won't show you this one. Same again then, give it a bit of a bow. And see if we can beat the record from the other week. looks like something. Yeah. Well, don't know what it is, but it's fairly small, I think. It's just come straight in right underneath me, look. Probably a small carp again. Well, I suppose it's good news that there are more smaller ones in here this year, but I do like the big ones. So the question is it just the day, or is it that I'm using more particles than ground bait that's doing it? And you don't really know that until you've done it a few more times and tried it. You can't base it just on a single visit, so I'll just have to come more often. Say small, I mean, for here it's small, but for most places it's perfectly normal fish. It's probably 4.5 pounds. Wasn't sure I was recording then. Okay, again, you don't need to see a 4.5 pound fish, but that is number 8, I believe. Oh, dearie, dearie. I was just looking down at the phone there to check I was recording the right things, and I watched the reel go backwards. What a difference a bit of current makes, eh? That first hour or so, when the thing was all but slack, had hardly anything. Now I realise, of course, that I've got more bait in, I've had it in for longer and all the rest of it, but what a difference. He's definitely bigger than that 3 or 4 pounder, or those 3 or 4 pounders. They certainly know how to use the current to their advantage for just lying against it. Ground bait in my eyebrows. There he is. I think it's quite a reasonable fish, this guy. Oh. Yes, definitely a reasonable fish. Oh. Stuck under the bank. Whew. Yeah, I reckon on this one we're looking at probably 8 pounds. Just put that out the way a sec. He's longer, he's very thick, and there we are. Look, I reckon on 8 pounds on that one. Maybe 7.5. Well, I can't remember if that was 8 or 9. We'll go with 8. Means I can stay a bit longer so I can catch his record, eh? Just letting it get down to the bottom. That's about it. Pull the bow out and then just repeat the process. And with a bit of luck this time, I'll be watching as the bite develops. That's the trouble with filming. Sometimes you're doing things with the cameras and the fish don't decide that they want to wait. GoPro, start recording. Oh, that was a decent bite on it. Only a small fish, I think. None of those little dibbly sort of things there, it was just and he's swimming right underneath me. Oh, and he's fell off. Well, that's 3 o'clock. I've been fishing now for 4 hours, as usual in the winter here. I was going to give it the extra hour today, just see how things went, but I've got to the point where I'm going to pack up because I want to go back and redesign these feeding feeders, or Boshers, or bait up feeders, whatever we're going to call them, and also see if I can get to make some of the wire mesh ones and come back down and try it again another day. I think they work, but because of the current, obviously the resistance against the plastic sides of these does create more of an issue. Other stuff that I've learned today, we talked earlier on about the mistakes I made last time, and the first one is that the little elastic stop, the knot on the line, is the way to go when you're using big feeders. Wouldn't want to use them on smaller feeders because it does catch a little bit on the spool there when it's going out. Certainly wouldn't want to use it for long range because that would reduce the range. Hooks wise, as I said, I'm using size 10 hooks now with the long hair, and compared to the 14, I think that's the way to go. It seems right, so I'm going to stay with that one. Other than that, I'd have to say I've caught probably around about the same amount of fish as last time. I think we're on 8 or 9 now, maybe 10, I can't remember. Last time I think I had 6 or 7, but I lost a few last time because I had it clipped up. So even in the winter, you cannot afford to be clipped up, and because there's just no way to give it line on the river. So really, I think I've achieved the aim for the day. I'm going to go back now and see what I can do about designing these new versions of the feeders, and I suppose all that's left to say then is bye for now.